There's one job I wouldn't want to have: referee. And that's for the National Hockey League, the NBA, football, baseball. Every sport, all the time. The league has it in for my team. The league wants my team to lose. When there was a weird, goofy penalty against Jake DeBrusk last night, I never thought the league had it in for DeBrusk. I even said in the post game review that I did, referee catches out of the corner of his eye, makes the call as he sees fit. There was also the puck over the glass call against Toronto, where the puck did touch the glass on the way out. Shouldn't have been a penalty. Toronto scores on the power play. I didn't go on a tirade. Look, referees have an impossible job. They really do. And the league makes the calls. It's funny because I keep hearing Vegas fans, refs screwed us, refs screwed us. No, that overtime call was made by the league. Remember these disputed goalie interference calls? The league's going to make these calls, and I did a video on it. And people are like, oh, well, good. This will take all of the controversy out of it then. And stupid referees making the call. And then, they made the wrong call because Kerry Fraser says it's the wrong call. Okay, Kerry Fraser hasn't been a ref for a while. I respect his opinion. I respect Kerry Fraser. But the league made that call. And then this silly, well, the league has it in for Vegas. No, they don't. The league gave Vegas the best expansion team in the history of expansion teams. This is why I don't talk about calls. I don't. I generally don't. And if your team has 5 penalties to kill and you only get 2 power plays, the way I see it is there's some undisciplined play. But it's funny too because some of the same people like refs really screwed us are the same people who'll say, well, they should just let them play. And then after the game, they're like, did you see that call that didn't get made? That was clearly slashing, hooking, cross-checking. Okay. And for me last night, Pasternak gets a cross-checking penalty right before Marchand's goal goes in the net. That was a stupid move by Pasternak. That was a cross-check. Absolutely, it was a cross-check. I had no problem with that call whatsoever. But, it's the emotions of the playoffs, and I get it. So I stay out of it. But I respect what the league does, and I respect referees for what they do because it is a thankless job. I can't remember the last time, if ever, that I've seen, that game was really good because the referees called everything right down the middle. And it's funny how, and I mentioned this in a comment this morning, I never see anybody say, geez, I don't like how we won that because the referees really gave it to us. Or, I wish we'd got more penalties because I could see where our players were probably taking liberties with their team. You just don't see it. It's a yeah, it's a job I wouldn't want because you're watching all these guys who are moving really fast. You're making all of these calls split second, and it's stuff we can watch on replay and go, well, you can see on the replay this really slow frame by frame instant replay. You can see that the prime point of contact wasn't the head, so that shouldn't have been this penalty. And well, this shouldn't have been called that way either because if you look at the replay, referees don't have replays. Not for penalties. And if we start reviewing penalties, holy crap, games are going to take forever. Might as well just change it to the National Football League on ice. And again, I get why people are upset. To this day, I say Joel Otto kicked the puck in 1989. Whether he did or didn't, I've watched that replay dozens of times. I think it could have gone either way. And at the time, Bill McCreary said, good goal. And Calgary moved on to the next round and Vancouver went home. And I was angry about it for years, and that's part of being a fan. But I never viewed it and said, oh, the league wanted Calgary to win, because that just doesn't make any sense. It's the whole angle of the league wants this team to win or that team to win. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't hold water. The league works for the owners. You got 31 owners in the NHL. If the league was that crooked, and certain teams were being favored just because the league felt like it, you would have a large portion of ownership across the league demanding a change at the commissioner's office. They'd be like, you know what, that call, yeah, you guys have been screwing us forever. We think there should be a change, and you'd have other owners signing on for that. It's a union. They're all one group. So it's the league versus this team or that team. It just doesn't wash for me. Because as much as I get mad at how good Pittsburgh's been for how long, and the fact that they could very well win their sixth Stanley Cup since I started watching hockey, which would put them at the top of that list. The Oilers are tied with them at the top of that list with 5 right now, and I'm talking Stanley Cups that I've watched, but the refs aren't handing it to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's taking it. Vegas didn't get to first in their division because referees favored them. They got to first because that's what happens. And the idea that now that it's San Jose that somehow the league would turn against them after they got the sweep over Anaheim, it just I don't understand. There's no logic in that. None of it makes any sense. The argument of league bias, I see it with the NFL, I see it with the NBA, I see it with Major League Baseball, I see it in every sport, and it doesn't wash because the results and the way that teams are put together, it just doesn't add up. The league isn't favoring one team over another. You don't see this massive cap circumvention. You don't see like, well, the Detroit Red Wings this year have a cap of $105 million. The rest of you guys will stay at a cap of, $70 million because we want them to have a lot of flexibility under the cap. You just don't see that. The day that kind of crap is happening, then yeah, I'll jump right on the league is biased in favor of. And the example I use all the time is after Vancouver lost the Stanley Cup final in 1994, there were fans I heard all over were like, the league that we should have won that series, but the league clearly wanted the Rangers to win it. They wanted the Rangers. They really wanted the Rangers to win it. They're biased in favor of the Rangers. The NHL is so biased in favor of the Rangers that win in 1994 was the only Stanley Cup victory they've had in 78 years. So I always think back to that. So when I hear all of this talk of bias, I just stay out of it for the most part. And it's ridiculous. Because every year it's a different team. Every round it's a different team. Every game it's a different team. After game 1, San Jose fans were really mad. Look at the way this game was called. Vegas was handed the game. Now after game 2, it's look at the way this game was called. We're really mad. San Jose was handed the game. No. That's not the way it works. So I'm just telling you guys from my perspective, I don't talk about it unless in the case of the goal last night that was called back against Vegas. And Marchessault, who was the guy who got that goal, when that goal was called back, his reaction was this. He looks up at the board. He didn't freak out. He didn't run out. He didn't rush out on the ice screaming and yelling at the ref. He was like, yeah, all right. And that was it. So the guy who scored the goal didn't freak out. Now, if he didn't think it was borderline, he would have freaked out. So there's my opinion. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I don't buy the bias talk. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Teams don't win championships because of referee bias. Teams win championships because they're the best team. And, that's just reality. Are there goofy calls? Yes. Referees can't see everything. They just can't. Even with 2 on the ice, there's going to be stuff you miss. And you have to call it from your angle where you are on the ice in real time. You can't go back and go over to the timekeeper and go, can I get video footage of what happened in the corner 30 seconds ago? Because I couldn't quite see what happened. I think it might have been a cross-check, but from my angle I couldn't see it, and neither could the other referee. And there may have been a camera in that corner that picked it up clear as day, and fans are jumping up and down on their couches about how a referee missed something. It's part of having a human set of eyeballs making that decision. And in this case, 2. And sometimes they get it wrong, but I've never looked at it and said, this is clearly bias. There was the Pittsburgh-Nashville situation last year with the goal. That's as far as I'll go with that. I didn't agree with that call. But honestly, Pittsburgh rightfully won that Stanley Cup last year. Yes, it could have gone, that call could have gone either way. It could have changed everything. But you know what? Pittsburgh likely still finds a way to do it because they're Pittsburgh. That's it for me on this topic, though. I've got the board all set up with the draft and the most likely draftees in each position, and we'll go over that later this morning. But I wanted to address this first. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through and you understand that officials are not necessarily gods. And again, we're just not going to agree. I see a lot of arguing in comment section, and honestly, I don't understand it. We're not going to agree. It's not going to happen. So I don't see the point of arguing in the comment section because it's just not going to work. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.